Hello and welcome to this special edition of Encore. Today we're taking you to the Pompidou Centre, a temple of modern and contemporary art in the heart of Paris. But it's not just a museum, it's a monumental cultural complex where visual art mingles with music, film and literature. And this year, it's turning 40. To mark the anniversary, the Pompidou Centre is celebrating with a jam-packed programme of exhibitions and cultural events taking place throughout the year here and in some 40 cities across France.
Une réussite, je pense.
Beau.
Bibliothèque.
C'est génial.
Abstrait.
Spécial.
Fasciné à chaque fois que je viens.
It's impressive.
Ça, c'est rien.
Parece muy lindo.
Moderne.
Controversé. It's fantastic.
Visionnaire.
Architecture.
Good view.
Le multiculturalisme.
Le centre Pompidou.
It's bizarre.
Amazing. It is expo.
The star attraction here at the Pompidou Centre is the National Museum of Modern Art. Let's go and meet the director. The Pompidou Centre remains as popular as ever with visitors. Why do you think it's so successful?
It seems to me that the real success of Centre Pompidou is both because of the architecture itself, which is still extremely spectacular. Another thing is the density of the activities. Do you know that we do something like 80 exhibitions a year? Do you know that we acquire thousands and thousands works a year? When we opened, the Pompidou had something like 30,000 works. We are now over 120,000. Before, let's say, the Pompidou opened, there was a lot of skepticism. Let's say that today people want to know more. People want to be informed. People want to know where is and what is what we call contemporary art. And this is one of its mission for Centre Pompidou to try to answer.
So apart from celebrating, what are you hoping to achieve with the anniversary events? What can visitors expect?
Visitors can expect to see, let's say, the permanent collection in Majesty. We are going to reopen the contemporary part of the collection, which means art from the 60s till today. And the other side, we're going to open quite a lot of exhibitions, big and small exhibition. We've actually a huge retrospective of Cy Twombly. We'll have also a big retrospective of Walker Evans, the great American photographer. But at the same time, we do 40 major exhibitions all over France. We do an exhibition of the late Kandinsky in Grenoble, another one on Matisse in Lyon. Then we do exhibitions about design and architecture. The great expectation is to give to people an idea of the diversity of the content of this collection and to try to answer it through a panel of exhibitions all over the country.
Today, the Pompidou Centre is an iconic feature of the Paris landscape, despite dividing opinion among locals and visitors alike, housing more than 120,000 works of art, a library, auditoriums and educational spaces. The centre was the brainchild of former French President Georges Pompidou. But he never lived to see it completed and its journey to become one of the world's most important modern art museums. Let's take a look back at 40 years of Pompidou Centre history.
À Paris, dans chaque faubourg.
Paris's famous Beaubourg quartier. It may now be known as one of the city's trendiest neighborhoods, but back in the 1920s, it was mostly home to the working class. 5 decades later, a metamorphosis began. It's 1969, and the French president, Georges Pompidou, has a wish. He wants to build a giant cultural center in the area, a special place of creation, where one could find literature, contemporary art, and music, all in the same place.
When my husband was Prime Minister, he proposed the idea to Général de Gaulle and André Malraux, but they weren't interested at all. He was disappointed, but he kept the idea in his head. And when he was elected president, it was one of the first things he decided on.
And thus the Beaubourg Revolution began, driven by an Italian team of architects, including Renzo Piano, who were selected among 700 candidates. The construction took off: 15,000 tons of steel, 50,000 cubic meters of reinforced concrete, and an assortment of colored pipes. A modern art building began to take form.
Who said the city has to be built where everything fits in with its surroundings? From time to time, we can do something out of the ordinary.
On January 31st, 1977, the Pompidou Centre was unveiled. To some, it looked more like an oil refinery. It was even given the nickname Notre Dame de la Tuyauterie, or Our Lady of Pipes.
It's the monumental error of the century.
It's an office, a prison.
And yet some curious eyes still dare to venture here. The Pompidou Centre very quickly became a victim of its own success and had to be expanded. Today it's 100,000 square meters in total, making it quite easy to get lost inside. A space big enough to house a public library. Some of the most well-known exhibitions include famed artist Andy Warhol, Niki de Saint-Phal, and Dali. In 2013, 200 of his works were made available to the public, attracting more than 800,000 visitors. Henri Matisse isn't too far behind. Some 730,000 people came to admire his paintings. The latest big hit, American artist Jeff Koons' retrospective, saw more than 650,000 spectators. The museum's popularity hasn't gone down. In 2016 alone, more than 3.3 million people made their ways through the doors of the Pompidou Centre, a 9% increase from 2015.
Le Centre Pompidou est vraiment en phase avec son époque.
The Pompidou Centre is really in tune with its time, and visitors find works of art that reflect the situations in which they live.
Des événements qui reflètent,
but each one in a completely different way.
Mais d'une manière complètement différente.
And now several new branches have been introduced abroad. After the Pompidou of Malaga, Spain opened in 2015, construction began on a Beaubourg, Brussels, set to open in 2019.
Among the big names whose work is featured at the Pompidou Centre is Daniel Buren. The French artist is often dubbed the Stripe Guy, as he's best known for using contrasting vertical stripes to dramatically transform spaces and surfaces. With permanent installations like Les Deux Plateaux in the courtyard of Paris's Palais Royal and the tube station makeover at London's Tottenham Court Road. Buren's signature work challenges where art is seen and how it's understood. Daniel Buren, thank you so much for being with us today. How important is the Pompidou Centre in the modern art world?
I think with the MoMA in New York, it's the most extraordinary collection of the 20th century and even up to the 21st in the world.
You've been involved with the Pompidou Centre since the very beginning. Do you have a favourite memory from working with the Pompidou Centre over the years?
The first thing I did, which was the project for a piece for the collection, which was accepted, it's certainly the best, not the best, but the strongest memory as to have a work which play with a lot of things, like, for example, being totally outside of the museum, using the architecture as a support, and to make everyone who like to be curious or like to see the piece, turning his back to the museum. So I think to have accepted such a project was something pretty amazing from the people in charge at that time. And after that, I think I will consider the one-man show I did in 2002 like a a very, very interesting experience because then I use other aspects of the architecture, normal rooms, let's say, and unusual space like the balconies, terraces, etc.
You're also on the board of the Pompidou Centre. It's a concept that's gone beyond Paris with branches in Metz and in Malaga. How important is it to expand and decentralize modern and contemporary art beyond Paris, beyond the big cities?
It's not only important and generous, but I think it's also necessary. And especially if you cannot see anything comparable just next door. You have a lot of different things, especially in Malaga, like the Picasso Museum or things like that, but you don't have anything as a modern and contemporary space to present and to invite people to work. So, of course, I only can think such a thing is having a very positive position or possibilities.
Thanks for tuning in and happy 40th birthday to the Pompidou Centre. All that's left to do now is help blow out the candles. We'll leave you with this beautiful view of the Paris skyline.
Bon anniversaire, Pompidou. Feliz cumpleaños, entonces.
Happy birthday, Pompidou Centre.
Happy birthday.
Joyeux anniversaire, Pompidou.
Muitos anos de vida. Viva Pompidou!